What up, y'all? We are live. We are not just living, but we are live.
We are live.
Should probably turn that one down, huh? All right. That means it sounds good on my end. All right. Welcome, Truth Warriors. We are live. Yes, indeed. How is everyone doing out there in YouTube? Let me shut that off. Pull up the comments. PJC Net is here. Says, hey, Jake, the spiky ball word, NWO Shield, Mac Parhar, says, this is taking so long that I reincarnated and am about to die of old age again. Very clever. Whoever made that account, that is very clever. It's a very clever thing to say. Faith here in chat. Dud Pistachio, Fusion Density, Ben K, Matt Myers. Welcome, welcome, everybody. All right. Kenny Homer here. Miss Anthropic. All right. Let me make sure I got everything all set up on my end, and we'll go ahead and get started. Let me add a couple moderators here. All right. Lee Manell says, hello from London. Hello, London. It's quite a lovely British weekend now, isn't it? It's been quite all right now. Isn't it quite a lovely Saturday? All right. So, today we are going to discuss something that I've been meaning to make a video about and haven't. So today is the day. Back in 2018 and 2017, there were some rocket launches that looked kind of funny. They did something different than any NASA rocket launch had ever done. And SpaceX was responsible for both these launches. And I remember when I covered it back in 2017 and 18, people suggested that perhaps the government is trying to bust through the dome above us or the waters above us, whatever it is above us. It was suggested that perhaps the government is disguising these SpaceX launches, which they call a swamp gas phenomenon, where it appears that they could possibly be trying to penetrate the barriers above us, if there is a barrier. Now, it might just be a big fancy fireworks show. There were even people who claimed it could be Project Bluebeam, but we're going to go ahead and jump into that. But first, you guys know what to do. You're going to want to slam those thumbs up, and we're going to go ahead and toke this up. All right, you guys know what to do. So I want to go ahead and see how many thumbs do we have right now. We got only 16 thumbs up. Let's get this thing to 30 thumbs up, and then we'll go ahead and get this party started. Come on, smash the thumbs. Let's get this thing up, and we're going to go ahead and watch some footage. You guys, for those of you who don't know, I have the ability to show footage now. I have upgraded, so my streaming capabilities are much better now. We're going to be watching some video together. We're going to be analyzing these rocket launches. We're going to be talking about it because there's only 2 of them, to my knowledge, that had this phenomenon in which they call swamp gas. All right, so I see 29 thumbs up. We're almost there. Come on, guys, smash that thumbs up, and we're going to go ahead and light this thing up. And if you don't smoke, you can just sit there and twiddle your thumbs. PJC Net with a super chat donation to get us started, and he says, to get you off to a good start. Oh, well, thank you very much. That's definitely going to get us off to a good start for sure. All right, I see we have reached our number. Let's hit this pipe and get us started. All right. Time to boogie, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and share this first Falcon launch. And this first one was back in 2017. Let me go ahead and get a date on this one. This one was back in December 2017 was the first time this phenomenon to my knowledge had ever happened. Let me go ahead and share. Now some of you guys are going to remember right when you see it what I'm talking about. Which one is it? Provide. There it is. Particular type of rock. I'm going to shut the sound off and we're just going to watch it together. All right. So this, they say, is a SpaceX rocket. And when it reaches a certain point in the sky, it does something that I've never seen a rocket do before. And we've all seen plenty of rockets throughout our lifetime take off and then turn sideways and then leave your sight, going downward generally. But this one did something that I had never seen a rocket do before. And we're going to go ahead and watch it here together. All right, here comes the magic. Pay very close attention to what you see. All right, and then the second part opens up, and you think at first it's just like some sort of chemtrail type deal, but then things start getting really weird. And when he focuses in with this camera shot, you start seeing this pulsating going on. Like that right there. That's something that I have never seen on any rocket launch ever in my entire life. And I remember really tripping out over that pulsating thing right there. Now, what they say is that that right there is the rocket booster detached from the rocket, falling back into the atmosphere. That's what they're saying that pulsating is. So they say that the thing on the left is the actual rocket, and then the thing on the right that was pulsating, they say, is the rocket's booster falling back into the Earth's atmosphere and being lit up by swamp gas. So that explanation, of course, did not jive with me. Mainstream science says, oh, yeah, it's just some swamp gas. And so that was one example, and I'll go ahead and play another example. And I'll even turn the sound on the next one. I just wanted to show you guys that first example there. All right, what's this next one called? The next one is from 2018. So that first one was from 2017, and this next one is from 2018. All right. Let me go ahead and pull that one up. Oh, that's the one I just pulled up. Damn it. 1 second. Let me try this again. Pulled up the same one on accident. All right. So this one is October 2018. So they did this one the next year, and it has a lot of similar characteristics. Now, some people are quick to say CGI. Here's the deal. It's not CGI. This actually did happen. I saw this one with my own two eyes. From my hometown of Modesto, I could see this one happen right that we're watching right here. Oh, shit, let me get to it before they play another video. So this one was in Vanderburg, out of Vanderburg facility. And from my hometown, I could see it. It wasn't that big and bright from where I could see it, but I could see that happening in the sky. And I've seen a bunch of people with their home recordings. So it definitely did happen. Got a super chat coming in. I don't want to miss any of them. Says, Jake, what is your take on Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system? I'm not sure. I haven't really dug into that missile system specifically. So I would have to like go check up on that if I wanted to give you a super detailed answer. But I feel like all the militaries of the world, the strongest militaries in the world, are all connected to each other pretty much. So when I see, like, for instance, Russia and USA, at odds with each other, I don't buy it for a second. I think we're totally in cahoots with Russia. I think we're totally in cahoots with China. So when I see these other governments going along with fake space and also telling the same lies that our government tells, and never once do you see them exposing our fake space missions. So it leads me to believe that all the governments and all their military tools and weapons, it's all to serve that same purpose of the new world order, of course. But let's get back on topic. Hey, thank you for the donation. So people are suggesting that this is some sort of possible rocket that is trying to penetrate the dome. I've heard that. That's a very popular answer. And we'll go ahead and watch this one on a slower speed real fast. A slower speed real fast. There we go. So if you watch it on a slow speed and you watch this one that's zoomed in, you see some wild stuff there. And then there's the pulsating over on the right. So that thing on the right that's pulsating, they say that's the rocket's booster entering back into the atmosphere. And all this colorful plasma looking stuff, whatever it is, that spray, chemtrail, whatever you want to call it, they say that is swamp gas being lit up by the sun. So they say if you launch a half hour after dark or a half hour after sunrise, that you can get this swamp gas effect going on. However, I've only seen it happen twice. And then this thing continues flying. So quite strange. I'm not totally sure what to make of it. The super skeptical side of me says it could be just like a glorified firework. And then there's the super conspiratorial side of me that says that it could be some sort of like rocket trying to or weapon trying to penetrate through a dome or a barrier up there. I have no idea. Here's the weird part about this deal. I'll show one last video and then I'll tell you guys my story. When I did see that, something happened to me. I've seen this with my own two eyes, the one that we're watching, and something happened to me after I saw it. And I'll get into that once I show the next one. Let me read some of these comments. Uh, Kevalev says plasma apocalypse. Research it. Misanthropic says sun dogs seem to prove a dome. Michael Feskins says what you doing in me swamp. Grady H says how about fake bullshit, smoke and mirrors. But here's the thing, I did see this with my own two eyes. The one that we just saw, I saw it here in California, and a lot of people saw it, and a lot of people took home video camera footage of it. So they did launch something up there in the sky. So you can't just say that it's like a CGI thing that only happens on a video screen, because I saw it and I'm not lying. And there's lots of people who saw it. And you can even find people tripping their ass off who saw it. So there's plenty of footage of it and people damn near losing their minds over it. But then there's also news clips which try to explain it away. And of course, they say, oh, don't trip out. Don't you fret. Don't you worry. It was just some swamp gas. So, of course, the news explains it away as swamp gas, of course. All right, I got one more video here. And I'll show you guys this one so you can see it from some different angles. Let me stop sharing this one. All right. So, hmm, I've only have seen the two examples of this, and the first one I didn't see with my own eyes, but this one I did see with my own two eyes. And so this happened in 2017 and then in 2018. And to my knowledge, they haven't done another one like this since. And so it makes me really question what the hell it was that they did here or that they tested. And I even uh, have to think of the possibility that they were testing some sort of weapon on the public. Uh, this could be some sort of operation done on the public as well. There's a number of things they could be doing here. Um, but like I said, they don't do this over and over and over again. So if it was something as simple as swamp gas and the sun lights up some swamp gas, then I think we would see more examples of this, and we don't. So, since you don't see this happening all the time, people were tripping out the first time they see this because we never saw a NASA rocket do this. So, mainstream science and mainstream media tries to make it out like, oh, it's just some swamp gas. Nothing to see here, folks. Just some swamp gas. You may have saw this and you may have been tripping your balls off, but guess what? It was just some swamp gas because science. Yeah, when a rocket takes off at certain times and certain conditions are just right, it looks like something is ripping a hole in the vortex, which might cause you to trip your balls off. You might even think that you're seeing some sort of rocket try and penetrate the dome over the flat plane, but we assure you, that's crazy talk. It's just some swamp gas. That's basically what the news will tell you. And so I saw this. And then I walked my dog. I always take my dog for a walk in the day, and then I take my dog for a walk at night. He always gets at least two, sometimes three walks a day. So I was on my night walk, and it was maybe a half an hour after I had seen this happen right here. And I had this weird feeling come over me when I was heading back to where I was staying. So I did my walk. I did like a walk around the block or something, and I was on my way back, and I had this feeling come over me like I've never experienced before. It's only happened once, so I have to try and remember it. It was as if I was hit with something instantaneously that made me feel woozy, dizzy, and I even had the thought that maybe I should lay down in these bushes and die. And I had never had that thought before. So it was pretty much within seconds as I'm walking, feeling dizzy, woozy, and then having this weird thought. I saw this like ivy bush, and I thought, maybe I'll lay down right there and die. And I was like, what? And I knew something was wrong. And I thought, I need to get back to my apartment and lay down. So I walked back to my apartment and laid down. I remember for about 20 to 30 minutes feeling very strange, and it did eventually subside and wear off. But uh, I went online and looked at some footage of this the next day, and I saw people in the comments section saying that after they saw this, that they felt sick. I didn't see a ton of people saying it, but I saw other people in the comment section of these videos, and there's a bunch of them. And so when it came out, a bunch of people who videotaped this posted their footage. So there was a ton of footage to go through. And in different comment sections of the popular videos, I saw people saying that when they saw this, that they got sick, felt dizzy. I saw people commenting similar experiences as to what I felt. And when I tell that story, people will, of course, call me a liar, but I have no reason to lie about it, just so I can talk about it to you. This did happen to me, and I did see this. And so I personally think that they could have tested some sort of weapon on the public because we've only seen this happen twice and we haven't seen it happen again. And we never saw this happen with NASA launches. So in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, we never saw any shit like this before. Now, if I had seen 4 or 5 of these happen, and if only once it made me feel weird and dizzy afterwards, I wouldn't think that it was from the rocket that I saw or whatever I saw. So the fact that I've only seen this in person once, and then within about a half an hour of seeing it, I had this extremely strange, weird, dizzy experience where I even had the thought that I should lay down in some bushes and die, which I had never had before. So when I saw other people saying that they saw this and then felt dizzy, sick, what have you, I personally think that they tested a weapon on us. Can I prove it? No, I can't. But if I see the next one, if I ever see this thing happen again, I'll know what their excuse is. And I'll know that if I feel that same effect twice after seeing it, then I'll know damn sure it's something like a weapon that they're testing. So I look forward to seeing the next one with my own 2 eyes, if it ever happens again. But then you have to be like trying to follow around every damn SpaceX launch because you don't know when exactly this could happen. But they say it can happen like just after dark and or early in the morning. So I guess if I went and looked up all the launch times, perhaps I could. Uh, but basically, if it did happen again, people are going to see it. People are going to video it. So even if I wasn't there to see it, if I can find other people having some sort of negative reaction, that'll also add evidence to what I think is possibly happening. So we'll go ahead and watch this one more time because it's, I think, the best of the videos. And then we can go ahead and talk about it. And then I'll get rid of the videos and read some comments because I notice when we watch videos, I don't read comments. And I also had a super chat come in earlier. Let me go back and find it. From Adrian Chetwind. Thank you very much for the super chat, Adrian. All right. Let me go ahead and get back to this video and I'll back it up, slow it down. Slow it down to 0.5. There we go. I'll turn the sound off. All right, so this one is the 2018. Oh, let me go ahead and change it. Whoop, there we go. Here it comes. Wait for it. And it's in slow mo this time, guys, so we're at half the speed. So let's pay attention to the details. All right. So here's where the magic starts. It looks like something got dispersed right here. And then there's like this spinning sort of going on. To me, I see like a rotation or a spin that's like spreading what looks to be some sort of material. So possibly after I saw this thing, that material came down on me and caused me to have a reaction, possibly. I don't know. And then you see a separation. So now there's 2 objects. And the one on the left continues to fly. And then the one on the right, you'll see start pulsating. It's definitely not CGI. I was there and I saw it. It was real and it looks really crazy. It wasn't that big where I was at. So the person who filmed this was at the launch and actually filmed this like with a really good camera. This is the best video that I could find. Look at that. That's some trippy shit. Now I've seen all kinds of different fireworks. I've seen a ton of illegal fireworks shows and seen all kinds of different ways to launch stuff up in the air and blow it up and do some pretty cool things. But I've never seen anything like this in my life except once with my own two eyes. So the first time I saw the footage on television, I suspected it could be fake CGI, not even real. But then when I saw this one with my own two eyes, the next day, all I did was look for footage and just watch other people's footage. So to this day, I have yet to see another one like that or see the news report on another one like that. So to my knowledge, this is the last time that this phenomena happened. All right. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? We'll go ahead and shut that one down. Then we're going to go ahead and have ourselves a little discussion because I like to hear other people's opinions. All right. All right, guys. Throw some opinions at me and I will pull them up on screen and we can discuss some different options of what this possibly could be. All right. And we're having a serious conversation here. I did see this. I'm not just making this shit up. I live in California. I was in Modesto at the time. I take my dog out on a night walk and I was close enough to see this. It wasn't as big and bright as the footage we just watched, but I definitely saw it. And there are people here in the chat who also have claimed to have seen it with their own eyes. And there's tons of home video footage of it, of both times it happened. So it definitely did happen. So you have to throw it's all CGI out the window because you can't put CGI up in the atmosphere. They definitely appear to have dispersed something. There was this spiraling dispersion of some sort of material that was colorful. And it didn't appear to be on fire like a firework. So it wasn't bright or colorful like a firework is, but it was still a colorful sort of display that happened. So I propose that it could be some sort of material that they released that maybe came down on the populace below, even. We got a super chat coming in from Adrian Chetwind again. Thanks. I appreciate that. All right, here's one. RH says, I think something is skimming along the firmament. This is a very popular answer, of course, to people who like to think that there's a dome, firmament above our head of some sort, think that possibly the military could have attempted to bust through. And then there's people who say that there's waters above and you're seeing them attempt to like try and bust through to the waters above. So I've heard lots of different theories of people thinking that the military government is trying to bust through the barrier above, firmament above, what have you. Oh, one sec. Let's see. Sailing the Honey Badger says we lost that technology and we can't do that again. That that would be a funny answer. No, they claim that this was just swamp gas being lit by the sun. So the official scientific answer, for those of you who didn't hear it yet, the scientific answer, which is bullshit, is that swamp is swamp gas being lit by the sun, and that pulsating thing that seems to separate and pulsate, they say is the rocket's thruster that detaches and burns up as it's going into the atmosphere. That's what they say. It's like, so it pulsates when it burns up in the atmosphere? Yeah. Don't you science, bro? Don't you know that that's what a rocket looks like when it has swamp gas being lit up by the sun, and the rocket thruster pulsates like that? Well, it appears to pulsate like that as it burns up going into the atmosphere. I mean, science, right? Personal incredulity. Jake is a flat earther, and therefore he can't understand how a SpaceX rocket ship works because of personal incredulity. It of course is swamp gas. Everybody knows swamp gas causes this phenomenon, but since Jake is a flat earther, he has to have a confirmation bias. Right? So I find these video examples fascinating, and see, it's been like 4 years now since the last one, almost 4 years. So the last one was 2018. And so it's easy for people to forget what happened and just go on about their lives. But they did this shit before. So if we ever happen to see it again, we know what their excuse is going to be. And if anyone is to have any sort of negative effect, now I've brought it up. We can have a discussion about this possibly being a weapon. Now, if I see this happen again with my own two eyes and nothing happens, that'll tell me that perhaps the first time was some other thing that happened to me. But if I see this thing twice and I have some sort of weird dizzy reaction, and other people also have that same reaction that I can prove, or at least get their story that coincides with mine, then I'll be happy to go ahead and say that this thing could definitely be a weapon. But right now, I just think that it could possibly be a weapon. I just think that. And I'm allowed to think that, YouTube. I'm allowed to think that, okay? All right. Let's see. Go back and find some comments that I missed. Saul Rosenberg says swamp gas at high altitude. Right. I mean, I farted the other day, but come on. Yeah, man. I'm surprised they didn't go with like cow flatulence or something. Like all of the cows that are farting are causing global warming. And of course, they're also causing their gas to rise, which coincided with a SpaceX launch. Thanks, Sal. I missed a couple of your super chats the other day on a stream, and so I apologize for that. I was messing with all these video options and missed a couple. So, giving you a shout out for those super chats that I missed the other day. Glad to see you here, buddy. Sailing the Honey Badger says, freaked me out. I try to forget it. Huh. Looks like we have some trolls in chat. I guess my mods don't seem to notice. There's some people in here like saying some shit. Let me go ahead and get rid of them. Like people saying stuff like this, your dog is a government plant. Like sometimes I don't know if you're like joking or if you're trying to like stir shit up in the chat like low key. I'm gonna keep an eye on some of you people who seem to maybe be trying to stir some shit up in chat. Lead the conversation. I already blocked one guy earlier, put one guy in timeout who was like, "Well, what kind of drugs were you on at the time?" All right. Grady H says optical psyop to distract. I think there's more to it than just that. I don't think they would do these two specific launches with such a grandiose display that's so different than anything else we've ever seen a rocket do, just for a quick distraction. So that could be a possibility, but I feel like there's too much that they put into it for that to be the reason. Here we go. Here's one. Sailing the Honey Badger says Project Bluebeam, you can project shit in the sky. That was another option that you don't hear a whole lot about anymore, Project Bluebeam. So some people suggested that that was maybe even a projection in the sky. Now, I will consider that a possibility, even though I don't know how they would make that exact thing happen in the sky, but they could be practicing in honing in their technique for the fake alien invasion, which we do know at some point in our lifetimes. They're probably going to go ahead and try that stupid shit. They've been prepping us with Hollywood movies and TV shows for a fake alien agenda or a fake alien agenda invasion. They have an agenda that they've been pushing for this upcoming fake alien invasion. There, that's what I meant to say. And of course, you look at movies like Independence Day and Star Wars, Star Trek, and all these different space movies where man and alien coexist together, and aliens coming out of the sky to attack people and stuff like that. So they've been setting the table for many years for the alien invasion angle. And it's going to be hilarious when they do it. And you know, I'm going to be here calling it out. Can you imagine all the sheeple that are going to fall for that shit? A fake alien invasion. And there's going to be sheeple like, oh my God, the aliens are coming. Oh, we're gonna have to go to war with the aliens. Can you believe it? Like the Independence Day's coming true? Oh my God, it's so crazy. You're gonna be like, no, they prepped you for this. Like, no, you're crazy, man. Oh, well, of course, now we have people asking for Richie from Boston to make an appearance. I think we need Richie from Boston to explain what's going on in the footage. All right, we might be able to make an exception. All right. I'm not sure if you've seen this yet, but they are testing a Chinese nanobot rocket. All right. Now, I've been telling you guys for years, and they're finally doing it. Everything that I've ever told you, of course, they end up doing. And this, of course, they're releasing Chinese nanobots right now. And you can see with the naked eye the Chinese nanobots right there being dispersed into the atmosphere. Now, these are nano sized bots. And when they rain down on you,
they go right into your skin. And the only way, of course, to prevent this from happening is to order my Patriot food supply, which has colloidal silver inside the food powder. All right, it's powdered food that has colloidal silver. And this nanobot technology will go straight into your skin. And the only way, of course, that you're going to be able to prevent it is with the colloidal silver that's mixed into my Patriot food supply. Now, if you just order my Patriot food supply, you're, of course, not going to be fully protected from the Chinese nanobots. So, what you're going to need to do, you're going to need to get right with God. You're going to need to get right with God right now. If you hide underneath your bed, you can still get infected by these Chinese nanobots. All right, they will go straight through the material that your mattress is made of. These are nano-sized bots. I was working on my truck today, and I saw one of these little nanobots about to land on my overlander, and I had to get in there real quick and fire it up and move her. But at any rate, I digress. Like, share, subscribe, or don't. This is Richie from Boston. I'm out.
There you go. Little Richie from Boston for you. Go ahead and stop this. All right, there you go. The one and only Richie from Boston. All right, let's see. Got some comments coming in here. Let's see. Sal Rosenberg says it was William Shatner's spine re-entering the atmosphere after that Brown Origins crash landing. Good one. I forgot to do the bada bing afterwards. All right, Grady H says, get right with God. Fusion Density says, that's funny. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. SOS says, LOL. JT says, magic beans will get you there. Oh, no. You don't need magic beans. You can see this one with your own eyes. You don't even need to be on any magic beans. Whoa, we got a big, awesome donation coming in from one of my favorite subscribers, Javid Ben Cosme, with a very generous donation. Says, showed a Globber friend a recent CarMax commercial showing an astronaut floating over a flat Earth. He says the astronaut can't float over a flat Earth. I respond, how does someone floating in space determine the Earth's shape? He says gravity. Well, gravity, of course, is the magical answer for everything. So the Earth is said to spin 1,000 miles an hour, which most globers don't even know that. And then it's said to go around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. And again, most globers don't even know that. And then the sun is said to be shooting through the galaxy at 448,000 miles an hour. Most globbers don't know that. So basically 500,000 miles an hour, so the sun is shooting through space. And you can't feel the twirling and going around the sun and the shooting through space at 500,000 miles an hour. And you know why? You know why? Gravity. Because of gravity. Well, why? Oh, because you can't feel it. Well, why? Because of gravity. Gravity is the reason, right? So they have basically a get out of jail free card in the form of a one-word answer known as gravity. And yes, it can be quite frustrating when you deal with one of these people and they throw that at you. And they'll even go as far as to say, well, if we were in a train cart and we were going 80 miles an hour down the track, we could pass a ball back and forth to each other, and the train could be going 80 miles an hour, and we can still throw the ball back and forth to each other. And that's when I easily destroy their argument like this. How about we get on top of the train and then we start tossing the ball back and forth? Yeah, let's make sure that we're not inside of the box, because that would suggest that we're inside of a physical tink, tink, tink enclosure. I've also heard the same scenario with, if you're in the front seat of a car and I'm in the back seat of a car, we could be going 100 miles an hour and we can toss a ball back and forth to each other and the ball's not going to fly away. It's like, that's because it's inside the car. How about you get rid of the windshield and you put the top down on a convertible, make sure that the windshield is gone. There's a reason they call it a windshield. And the reason is if you try and go 100 miles an hour without a windshield and you have a convertible with the top down, you're going to be like this. Your hair's going to be flapping, right? If you had a hat on your head like this, it would be like, gone. Have you ever stuck your head out the window and you had on a hat and you were going fast? It'll pull your hat right off. All right, and I missed another super chat. Let me get that one as well. Hold on one sec, guys. Got a super chat from Sailing the Honey Badger with a super sticker. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks, Honey Badger. Appreciate you being here and your comments and such. And Javid had another one. Says astronauts need gravity to float in space. I thought they float because of no air, no wind, no gravity in space. The guy confused me. Yeah, well, a lot of times they don't really know what a flat earther thinks, and so they'll assume because they watched a Vsauce video or that they watched, like some Globe Shill video, a Simon Dan video. They'll think that they know how all flat earthers think, so they'll just automatically assume that you subscribe to a pizza pie map that is floating around in space. They'll think that you think that the Earth is a pizza pie pancake just floating around out in space. So Globers always assume stupid shit about what the flat earther thinks. Like, how come all the other planets are round, but then like they just made one flat planet? Like, how does that? Like, they still say stupid shit like that. It's like no flat earther thinks that it's a flat pancake in space, yet they still use that as a straw man attack. So what I've learned is that the people who are willing to wake up to it or are on the fence with the subject, that's a small group of people. And then everyone else in the world who's never going to be convinced, who's a total sheep, no matter what you tell them, no matter what evidence you present, they aren't going to accept it. And I think the phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him think, comes to mind. You can't make him think. Okay, now we have some people requesting some Elmo. You guys are weird sometimes. We'll be in a serious discussion about the world and what's going on, and then you guys will be like, Elmo!
Elmo's favorite impression is Elmo. Elmo does the best Elmo impression that I ever heard. Elmo wants to move from Sesame Street, and he wants to move to Hawaii and go surfing. And Elmo goes surfing, surfing USA.
What? Why? Why did you guys want that? Why did you want me to do that? Oh, Saul says I missed his super chat. Let me go back. Let me go back and find it. My bad, buddy. I got carried away. There it is. I found it. You know Richie is shilling gold IRAs now. Like you'd ever see that paper gold if shit hit the fan. What a scam. If you can't hold it in your hand, it's gone. Yeah, they all got to shill something, don't they? They all got to shill something. I think it's funny that a lot of the AE map flat earthers all like try to do like crypto stuff as well. And I even, admit I tried to get into some of the crypto stuff. And then I learned my lesson that like, it can be pumping one day and your bags are looking good. And then a week, 2 weeks later, month later, the shit can crash. And then suddenly you're down. And so I stopped talking about stuff like crypto just because I didn't want to be associated with any of these shills that are like trying to like push shit coins on people. And so that's one example of like if you can't hold it in your hand, it can be gone. And so I've seen people make a ton of money on these different investments, and I've seen people get burned. So when it comes to investing, you got to invest at your own risk and whatever it is. And whatever you invest, you also have to be willing to accept that you might lose that somehow, some way. There's people who swear by the stock market who absolutely got ripped when the stock market crashed. And there's people who swear by crypto who absolutely had their ass handed to them. Then there's people who swear by like gold and silver, which when shit hits the fan, what are you gonna go? You're gonna like walk around with a gold bar or like gold chips in your hand, like, hey, you want to trade this with me? What's to keep someone from just shooting you and taking it. So when I think of any sort of shit hitting the fan, apocalyptic sort of situation, purge type situation, I think like all this stuff that you think would come in handy, it will also be a burden because like anything of value, you're going to have to protect it. And it's only going to keep you alive so much longer. And if anybody knows that you have valuables and stuff, then it makes you a target. So if you're the guy who has the guns and the supplies, well, then you're going to have to guard your guns and your supplies and shit all the time. Which, of course, wouldn't be a very fun life, I would figure, come apocalypse time, to try and guard what's left of your supplies. But anyway, I'm ranting now about a subject that who knows what's going to happen until it does happen. That's another thing that Hollywood has been prepping us for, is some sort of apocalyptic purge type situation. And so when we see movies like that, we have to figure that we might go through some complete anarchy, lawlessness that's planned for us, where the power goes out everywhere and we all experience some sort of anarchy, lawlessness sort of situation. That could definitely happen in the future as well. Thanks for the super chat, Saul. You are a gentleman and a scholar, and you say some funny stuff. Here's one. T-Bird6 says, what happened to D Marble? Last I checked, he moved to Arkansas and doesn't do videos anymore. So he went and bought some land in Arkansas and a house and doesn't do any videos anymore. Last I saw. But he was one of the AE map shills. He's either a shill or a useful idiot. So I leaned towards him just being a useful idiot. And then he realized that he was hanging out with a bunch of shills pushing a disinfo map. So he quietly just exited the scene. That's my guess, if I was to guess. Can't prove it. It's just what I think. RH says, shh, keep your bunker on the down low. I don't have a bunker, man. But I could have a bunker and just be saying that to keep it on the down low. I totally don't have a bunker. Totally don't have a bunker filled with every type of gun ever known. Totally don't. No, seriously, I totally don't. I just have something in my eye. I'm just kidding. Javid Ben Kazmi says, what happened to Nathan Thompson? I don't keep up with the guy nowadays, but last I remember, he got arrested. This was a few years back now. He got arrested for flat smacking children on a playground. He went to an elementary school, climbed up on the fence, and then was screaming at the children that the earth is flat and that NASA lies. And then he posted that on YouTube, and then he got arrested for that. And then YouTube took down his channel, and then Facebook got rid of his flat earth group. And his flat earth group that he always bragged about was basically full of trolls. And so it wasn't a legitimate like flat earth research group. It was like maybe 30% flat earthers and 70% globe trolls. And all they would do is just argue all day long. And so his group was basically just like a never ending argument on both sides. And he would always go around telling people that he had this awesome Facebook group. And then if you joined it and you posted anything about flat earth, you would get attacked by globe trolls. And so there was a time in 2016, 17, 18 where Facebook groups were more popular, and you could have a flat earth group with thousands of people and you could post some stuff. But then if they got infiltrated by globe trolls, then it would turn into just like a fight basically in an argument. But now that Facebook has really locked down the interaction between people as far as negative interactions, like you can't even call someone a moron or stupid. You'll get a 30-day ban. So now on Facebook, the groups are basically dead. So if I post my stuff in like a Facebook group for Flat Earth, I notice most of the groups are dead in the water. There's hardly any conversation going on. So just another way that the government is controlling the conversation about the shape of the Earth, keeping people from having a serious conversation. But back to Nathan Thompson. So that his Facebook group got taken out, and then he got arrested. Oh, and then he did a documentary hit piece against the flat Earth. So he fell for another hit piece documentary. So he's been in like 3 hit piece documentaries. At what point does that just make you just a straight up shill who's purposely putting yourself in those documentaries? So that's what happened to him. And then every once in a while, he shows up using like someone else's account and tries to tell me he's not a shill. So the last time I went to war with Dave Weiss and Jaron 6 months back, he showed up to say that he's not a shill. Okay. He just happened to be in 3 hit piece documentaries and go to all the conferences and get arrested for flat smacking children. Sure, dude, just all that stuff. So this inhuman ways has this profile pic that I've told people is like fantasy. Why do you have that profile pic of the AE map and then a bunch of fantasy lands around it? So if you've been following my work, you would know that the AE map is bunk, and that's what all the shills use. And you have all that fantasy islands going around there. Why do you use that as your profile pic if it's a psyop? I don't understand. It's almost like you haven't figured out that that map is fantasy. So just pointing out, like people still use these maps, and I pointed it out in the last stream, and a guy got really mad at me and emailed me. And so I'm pointing it out again, like I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm just saying that the circle map is bunk. And so if you're gonna have the circle map as your profile pic and these extra fantasy lands that you've never proved or no one's ever proved exist, I just have to question, like, who are you and what are you doing here and why would you use that as your profile pic? It's basically like you're pushing disinformation. Javid Ben Cosme says, your opinion on sundogs proving the dome. Lighting effects in the sky don't prove a dome to me, so I'm not one of these guys who says rainbows prove a dome or sundogs prove a dome. You know what proves a dome? Touching it. Finding that actual barrier. Like Jim Carrey style in the movie uh, Truman, when his boat crashes into the actual barrier of his fake world. That to me is what I need personally to really know for sure that we're in an actual enclosure top to bottom. And so I got to see that with my own two eyes personally, experience it. Or somebody that I trust, which there ain't many, them prove to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's a dome. And uh, I can't take that as my position that there's 100% a dome unless I fully experience it. But I can think that there possibly is one. So rather than tell you guys that I definitely think that there is one, I say that there possibly could be one and that I don't know for sure because I'm honest with my audience. Whereas other flat earth channels will push dome even though they've never proven it, they've never been there, and they'll push the AE mapping model, which has been debunked over and over again, not by globers but also by flat earthers. Not just by globers, I should say, but also by flat earthers. So we're actually going to be looking at some other maps on the asshole channel on Monday. I'm going to have Shay on the asshole channel, and we're going to be looking at rectangle Mercator maps. And Shay has some information that some of you will find quite fascinating, and it might reinvigorate, rejuvenate your passion for the flat earth subject because it's been somewhat dead in the water. So I plan on having Shay on Monday on the asshole channel, and I'll start promoting that tomorrow. I'm gonna have her on tonight. We're gonna practice some of her material. I'm gonna get all her material together, and we're gonna do like a dry run, just her and I, and so that we have our shit together. And then she's going to present her map, and there's some interesting things about the map. And I'm sure you guys are going to have your questions, so it's going to be a good stream. So I look forward to seeing you guys over on the asshole channel on Monday when I have Shay on to present her map. Then the next week, I'm scheduling a hangout with FPV Angel channel, which also has a Mercator style map. So I'm going to have the week after, either the next weekend after or the next week after. I'll let you guys know. I'm going to have FPV Angel on to present their map and model as well. And so we're going to get some similarities and some differences between Shay's map and FPV Angel's map, but they're both using a similar Mercator style map. And they both have some issues going on at the date line, but I don't want to spoil the surprise. So that's what I have planned for the next streams. Lots of good flat earth stuff and some new material, some new concepts, which is exciting. It's been years since I have found some new information that got me intrigued, and I have been doing some research on this Mercator style map, and I have stumbled onto some interesting anomalies and issues. And so I have questions for Shay, I have questions for FPV Angel, and I've come up with my own discoveries. So I look forward to sharing that with you guys. Oh, here's a good one that people forget. This is for old school flat earthers. Andy says Tiger Dan tried to do a map. Now you got to be an old school 2015 flat earther to know that name, because he checked out in 2016 because he said that the map was wrong and he got attacked viciously. Jaron attacked him, and all the mainstream flat earth guys attacked Tiger Dan when he figured out the map was wrong. And he even was trying to move the continents around and fix it. So he took the circle map and started moving the continents around and changing the shape. And he tried several different times to make his own map, but he would screw something up. So whenever you move shit around, like if you think you can just take a continent and just start moving shit around and you're going to fix it that easy, it's not that easy, because then you start screwing up your daylight hours and your distances and shit. And so he was trying to move shit around, shrink, and put it all together. And he did his best, but he couldn't quite make a circle map work. So he threw his hands up at it, and he said that we possibly do live on a globe. And all his flat Earth supporters at the time threw a fit, turned on him, called him a shill, and so he quit making content, just dead on the spot, quit making content. And his channel stayed up for maybe another year. And then sometime in 2017, it disappeared. So I'm kicking myself for not getting copies of those videos, because the videos were sitting there for like a year after he quit making content. And then 2017, he just disappeared. So you have to be an old school flat earther to remember Tiger Dan. And I don't even know if any of his stuff is copied and still out there, but you'd have to do some digging, because the algorithm on YouTube is, it's fucked, to say the least. The algorithm is just terrible. And so if you try and look up like old classic flat earth videos, you really got to dig, and you got to use the like tools and go back to the old dates. You can't look up anything new, because it'll only bring up hit pieces. So you have to like go to the older dates and set the filters, and you can sometimes find the old videos. But Tiger Dan, I think he got scrubbed. Oregon D says Russia is 1,000 times smaller than Africa. Its wildest point. That's definitely not true. Russia is not 1,000 times smaller than Africa. That's not true. And there's a deception going on between Alaska and Russia. Again, I don't want to spoil the surprise with the maps, but when Shay and FPV Angel present their map, you're going to see and you're going to hear about the issue between Alaska and Russia. So Russia is apparently really close to Alaska, but there's some issues with trying to go there. So if you try and take a boat, or in the winter walk across the frozen Bering Strait and walk into Russia, you can be arrested and detained. And it has actually been said to happen to a hiker who tried to walk across there. So there's some interesting things going on in the region of the Bering Strait between Alaska and Russia. And we'll get into that. Again, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but it has rejuvenated, reinvigorated my passion for the subject, because it's some new information that has entered my mind, which opens up new possibilities for more land. All right. Saul Rosenberg with a donation says, what if it's like Pac-Man, and when you get to the east-west edge, it just keeps wrapping around? So I've kind of like on a cylinder. Yeah, that is what people think whenever you pull out the Mercator map. But that's not what Shay or FPV Angels say. So the sun, the luminaries, They're said in the book of Enoch to go through portals or gates and then come back out to the east, whereas humans aren't said to be able to go through these portals. So, again, I don't want to ruin the surprise, but FPV Angel and Shay say that the only way to go west is to go west. The only way to go east is to go east. And these two sides do not connect. So if you want to hear about the deception and how it works, you're definitely going to want to tune into my next couple streams on the Asshole channel. So Monday, I have Shay on. So I'm going to have Shay on Monday night. And then I'm going to have FPV Angel on the week after. And I'll let you guys know the times. I'll let you guys know at least 24 hours ahead of time. I'll post a promo video here. And I'll post stuff on Facebook, social media, and all that shit to get the word out. So that's the plan for future streams. Says America half the size of Russia. Yeah, that's the thing is Russia's gigantic. When you look at it on a map, it really truly is gigantic. And then there's places that are basically, they say, inhospitable and no one lives there. And so when you look at how gigantic it is, there's some places that they say are virtually like, they're basically undiscovered by man, and that there's places man hasn't stepped foot in Siberia because it's so big. And so we're going to get into the deception with our supposed enemy, Russia, and how Russia and the United States and all the major militaries of the world are colluding together to secure the perimeters of our world, keep us barned in like barnyard animals. Flat Sabbath says Pac-Man style sun, though. Well, they talk about it more as a gate, like a Book of Enoch style, like a gate or a portal that the luminaries go to these gates and portals. And I'm not completely on board with it yet, but there's some definite anomalies and strange issues between Russia and Alaska and that international date line. And when they present their information, it's going to get the wheels turning in your head as well. And so I was always perplexed by how the sun goes in one side and comes out the other. And if people go in one side and come out the other, can you go up top and come out the bottom? They have answers for that. They have their own answers for that. And I can't say that I subscribe to exactly what they say. I'm not completely on board. I'm skeptical of all of it. However, I think that having a serious conversation about it and not talking about the PSYOP map that all the shills are using and instead focus in other directions is definitely a step in the right direction, because if you go on the scientific websites, they're using Mercator. The military is using Mercator. On flight routes and stuff, when you look it up, they show it on a Mercator map. And you'll see some flights do some really weird things. There's some really weird stuff going on with airplanes. All right, got super chat coming in from Javid. Says opinion on 1950s encyclopedia describing the Antarctica dome with measurements before the treaty. I'm not exactly familiar with what 1950s article, what they exactly said, but there's a whole lot of stories about our Earth, be it flat Earth, hollow Earth, Captain Cook, and all these different stories, and you have to take all of it with a grain of salt. So anything from history that happened before you were born, in any books, especially like in an encyclopedia, you have to take that information with a grain of salt. And the government talks out of both sides of their ass. It wasn't long ago, I think 60s and 70s, they were telling kids that we're on the verge of another ice age. But now it's global warming and climate change. And so They'll go from telling people that we're going into an ice age to that the planet is warming up and that the glaciers are disappearing and the polar bears are drowning in the ocean. So they talk out of both sides of their ass. I mean, we're talking about mainstream science saying that the rocket launch that we watched earlier is swamp gas. So whatever story that they give you, you always got to take it with a grain of salt. And so history, whenever anyone starts telling me what happened in history as far as major storylines go, I always am like, well, what really happened? PR Prepper says, nice shirt and hat, obviously. Oh, thanks. You can order this on the my merch store or in my merch store, which is online. The description is down below. You can get this design right here. I've actually gotten in trouble with this design before by showing it off, so I'm gonna have to like cover it up just a little bit. But basically, you guys get the gist. So if you want the this design, you can get it in the description down below. Thank you. PJC Net says, I remember as a child them fear mongering over the Ice Age returning. Yeah. And see, they don't like go back and be like, oh, well, we were completely wrong. And here's why we thought that. No, they'll just like, they said it and now it's like in the rear view. So they don't ever go back and explain, like, yeah, we said that, but we were totally ass backwards. It's warming. Or they can be like, well, it was getting colder. But then you guys started driving your cars all the time, all your gas hog cars, and putting all that smog in the atmosphere. So you guys started causing the planet to warm up. So they're really pushing this carbon credits shit. And so, you know, and your emissions and how much you, you know, emit. And so in the future, they can tax all of it, of course. Right. So they can say, Javid here, you know, that he driving his car, he needs to pay this X amount of taxes because of the pollution that he put into the atmosphere, all that crap. So you can see that angle being pushed on people. And it also gets you to want to buy electric cars, right? So the pain at the gas pumps and then this misinfo about you know, cars causing all this pollution and global warming and crap. They can get you to buy these electric cars. Mainly the pain at the gas pumps, but also the misinformation helps convince people that getting an electric car is going to save the earth, right? Come on now, people now, people now. People now driving hybrids now. Come on, people, drive some hybrids now. A South Park song, like. Come on, people, driving some hybrids. Come on, people now, people now. Everybody driving some hybrids now. Rose Bellman in the chat. Hey, Rose, she says, antique books have valuable information. Indeed, indeed. But there's also, you know, some misinformation in books as well, you know. And so old science books, of course, you know, they might still have that old information talking about how we're headed for an ice age. So it's interesting how as time goes by, they can just go in an extremely different direction from what they just told us not that long ago. I mean, if you look at the existence of people and them telling us, you know, back in the 70s, I think it was, that we're headed for another ice age. They were telling people that into the 80s. And then in the 90s, they went the opposite direction and started calling it global warming. And now they just say climate change. See, now it can get colder or it can get hotter, and they can just call it climate change. Well, yeah, you know, the climate is changing, right? Just another way to control people's minds. Javid with a donation says the Ice Age and all that is to put people in a state of fear. I was thinking about the end of the world since middle school, even in Christian groups, was all about the rapture, Antichrist. Yes, and there's many different ways that the world comes to an end that are all fake, right? For instance, nuclear war, right? So a bunch of nuclear fallout with missiles and stuff, and we blow up the world and everyone dies. Or my favorite, the space rock, a rock from space that punches a hole into the earth and lava goes spilling out into space and it causes this big giant shockwave earthquake that shakes every building to its core. And then if you're over on the other side of the earth, you still can't escape the plume of dust that they say will enter the atmosphere, and it's going to take 2-3 years for the dust to settle. So they have this entire story for when this killer rock comes out of the sky and hits the earth. And they've even shown graphics, and they have movies, Hollywood movies. You guys remember Deep Impact, Armageddon? So they have Hollywood movies for the killer rock that's supposed to come out of the sky and get us. And they've even been prepping us with these stories like, there's a rock that's going to almost hit Earth. It's going to come really close. You're not going to be able to see it, but it's going to come really close. It's a narrow miss. So I'm sure you guys have heard that like 5-10 times in your life now. That on the news, you'll see them say that there's a space rock headed in our direction and it's going to be a narrow miss. And that scientists are a bit concerned that it might get too close to us. I even remember him saying one time that it's going to come as close as to us that it's going to be between us and the moon. But then when you go outside, you never actually see said rock shoot on by. So they've been prepping us through movies and in news, mainstream media, that the killer space rock is coming. And their story is that when it hits, if it hits in the ocean, it'll cause tidal waves. And if it hits land, it'll cause like massive earthquakes and a dust plume that goes up. And that the dust plume will take years to settle and it'll kill all the trees and stuff. And they even go as far as claiming that that's what killed the dinosaurs. So we're told about these mythical creatures, the dinosaurs. Don't even get me started on how fake that shit is. But they also claim they know what killed the dinosaurs, and they think that it's most likely a killer space rock. So to reinforce killer space rock, they have to have these Hollywood movies, and they have to have these periodic news reports saying that there's a rock coming really close. It's not quite going to hit us, but almost. So what they could do is blow up a hole in a city if they wanted, or blow a hole in the ground or something, and then say that that was a meteor that caused it. They could claim an impact caused it, or they could even theoretically have a hurricane way out in the ocean that they create and create their own tidal wave, and then they can say that a meteor hit and created the tidal wave. So let's say they manufacture a tidal wave and take out an area. They can say that it was a space rock, and then they could even go as far as to show us a graphic of a space rock hitting the ocean. So I just try to think of different scenarios that, since they've been prepping us, where we're going to get the space rock hitting Earth, but it's instead going to be some sort of trickery. Steve DeCipio says dinosaurs 100% fake. Yes, I've went over that on this channel a few different times. I even have a very popular video I released years ago called Dinosaur Sex is impossible or something like that. And I outlined how dinosaurs having sex and mating is ridiculous, and the whole notion of these dinosaurs and the way that they evolved. Like, for instance, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex has these little tiny little shitty arms for like no reason at all. And then he's got this like body style that's not centered properly. If you had a big giant head like that and all that body weight was stuck out forward, you would constantly be falling over. So just the body styles don't make sense. And like, why would that big gigantic like lizard creature have these little tiny like little shit arms that don't do anything? And then a stegosaurus has got to be the stupidest looking dinosaur. It's got like these bony plates, that spiky plates that come out like a spiky tail and shit, but it's also like real slow, like a cow, like a big slow cow that's got spiky plates on its back. And we're supposed to believe that a stegosaurus had sex with another stegosaurus. They had stegosaurus sex. Yeah, right. So I have that in a video. I was the first one to point out stegosaurus sex was bullshit. And then I've seen other shills steal my work and steal my jokes. So I was the first to point out that dinosaur sex was bullshit and do a full-length video on the topic. You can find that video if you go back and look. That's on the Asshole channel, of course. All right. Randy Green says, how do they bone? Well, you know what? Here's what some people would say. Dinosaurs don't have sex like that. The male fertilizes the female's eggs. How? The female lays eggs, and then the male comes along and fertilizes them. Are you telling me that the female stegosaurus lays an egg, and then the male stegosaurus looks at it, and then he like gets up on his hind legs over the egg and crouches over it and just like sprays stegosaurus cum on the egg, and it seeps through the eggshell? Yep, that's what happens. Screw you, dude. So some people went as far as to create this scenario where the male stegosaurus doesn't get any sexual pleasure, doesn't do anything sexual at all. He just comes along and just semenizes the egg. He like looks at it and he's like, I need to put my semen on there. Now I know there are some examples of like fish doing this, but it's funny how people will like to like make all these excuses for mythical creatures that never existed in the first place, right? So whenever you make the argument that like two stegosauruses mating is just ridiculous, they'll be like, well, female lays an egg and then the male comes along. It's like you're sticking up for something that never existed in the first place. Javid Ben Kazmi says, did you like the red moon eclipse? I had no idea about it till you said it on the stream. Thanks, bro. This one wasn't that impressive. It was semi-cloud. To me, it wasn't. I've seen one in the past that was way better looking. But this one wasn't that impressive where I saw it. There were clouds in the sky. And when it was fully blacked out, it was like you just couldn't see anything. And so when it was finally starting to leave the surface of the moon, or wane, or whatever you want to call it, as the eclipse was ending, you could see the moon start showing again, and then I could actually see a little bit of it, but it was not as impressive as I was hoping. So hopefully you guys got a better view. Now, the year before, I saw the blood moon eclipse, and I saw it in its entirety, and I got a really good view. But this one, my view, not so much. It was kind of shitty. Saul Rosenberg says he would need different air pressure and stuff on either, or else their heart colding, even pump blood into their brains and other. You must be talking about something else. I don't know what you're talking about now. I'm not sure how that relates to what I was talking about. PJC Net says we had it cloudy all night here in the UK. Yeah, it's cloudy in the UK all the time from what I hear. So that's pretty much to be expected that you guys are just going to miss everything that happens in the sky. It's quite a lovely day or night now, isn't it? I tried to see the eclipse, but it was blocked out by all the cloudiness. TD says, do you think the moon is a rock or hologram? Definitely not a rock. I'm not sure it's a hologram, but I am sure that it's not a rock. See, we can see blue sky through the moon. There's times in the day when the moon is very translucent, and the properties of the moon uh, seem to suggest it could be a hologram projection up there rather than an actual physical object. So I don't think it is a physical object, and if it is a physical object, it's not a regular rock. So the moon dust that they have in museums has been proven to be fake, and even moon rocks have been proven to be fake as well. And so, if museums aren't taking the time to really research what they're getting and putting on display, and then it's being discovered to be fake, that just basically proves that no one's ever been to the moon. It's not a rock, it's not a physical object. And so, I would lean towards projection hologram. However, I can't prove for sure that that is the case. And there are guys out there, who say all kinds of shit about the moon that I don't subscribe to, and I think is also uh, shill shit, like saying that we live inside of a moon crater or that the moon is a map of the world. I don't subscribe to either of those theories. And furthermore, the sun and the moon can be confusing because sometimes you can see them both in the sky at the same time, and the moon isn't full. Like you can see a half moon over here in one direction, turn a 180 and see the sun right across the sky. So you have a half moon and the sun in the sky at the same time. And you're like, how come it's not full? And then like 3-4 days later, you see them both in the same sky, and then it is full. And so Shay will say, oh, it's because they're not quite lined up perfectly, and that's why you see a half moon. But you'll see both of them in the sky at the same time, and you'll have a half moon sometimes. And then the half moon will be pointing upward, even as the sun is going down. So sometimes it doesn't quite match up with what the globe says is happening as far as the phases of the moon. So I think the phases of the moon, if we were on a globe, should change constantly throughout the day. And you should be able to see the phase of the moon change constantly throughout the day as it goes by. But instead, it's like it goes by as a sliver, then it goes by a little more full, then it goes by as a half moon, then it's like a 3/4 moon, and then you're at almost full moon, and then you're at a full moon. And then it starts waning back the other way. And so it would make more sense to me if it changed in real time, hour to hour throughout the day, if we were on a globe model. Got a donation from Javid. Says, which eclipse does David Weiss talk about that if you stare at it without those glasses, the government tells you to wear to protect your eyes? You feel great. Oh, I have heard. I'm not sure what he says, but about it. But I have heard in school when I was a kid that if you can go blind, burn a hole in your eye if you stare at an eclipse. But I stared at the one, and I want to say like 2017. There was one in 2017, a solar eclipse, and I stared at it with my eyes, and it was bright, but it didn't burn a hole in my eyes, and it didn't make me go blind. And so I stared directly at a solar eclipse without protection, and it made my eyes water a little bit because it is super bright, of course. It's the brightest thing that ever existed. So it's a bit bright, but it wasn't like, my eyes, and then like I had like black spots or a hole in my vision or nothing. So what the government pushed and what they pushed in school to us children is that you can go blind, and burn your eyesight out. But I say that's bull honky. Bull honky. I think they don't want you to absorb the vitamin D from the sun. Um, might have missed another super chat. Hold on. Oh, Saul. Saul sent one. Saul says, "Are you familiar with Saul Rosenberg, the Jerky Boys prank call character? His voice likeness lives on as Mort Goldman in Family Guy." Oh, I didn't know that that's the same guy, but I do remember the Jerky Boys. That was a long time ago. Prank calls. I remember when I was a kid, prank calls were fun. And me and my friends would do prank calls. And then caller ID came out. And then people would call back and then tattle on you. You know, they'd tell your mom or your dad that you were making prank calls. And then your mom and your dad get mad at you. So I remember before caller ID as a kid, calling people and then prank calls. And the Jerky Boys was funny when it came out. Oh, memories. JT says, "You cannot land on the moon." Exactly. I don't believe for a second that anyone or anything has landed on the moon or ever will. And the stupid shit that Globers say cannot be proven. They'll say that you can see the American flag on the moon. They'll say that you can see the leftover lunar module base and supplies left over from the Apollo missions on the moon. And I say, bullshit, you can't see that. And so I've had Globers make videos about me, and they'll tell their audience that with a telescope that you can see that stuff. When in reality, there is no telescope nowhere, not even at any observatory, no high powered telescope, nowhere on Earth can you see that stuff on the moon. What NASA claims is that they have a satellite orbiting the moon and they have pictures of the flag on the moon and the leftover supplies and stuff from the Apollo missions and the landing site. So they'll show you a picture, but the picture comes from NASA. Think about that. So NASA claims they have a satellite that orbits the moon and takes pictures of the moon all day, all the time. And so they'll show you a picture of a dot, a dot. So it's a gray background and they'll point at a dot and they'll say, that's the flag. And then they'll point at these tracks and say, these are the lunar rover tracks. And then when you say, where the hell did you get that picture? From our satellite orbiting the moon. And so there is no telescope that you can look through and see anything on the moon. Yet, globe cucks will tell you that there are telescopes that you can see that shit. So I've actually caught Globers lying red-handed to their audiences about small stuff like that. And so I remember I was doing a video against this stick figure. He doesn't show his face. He was called Professor Stick. And he said that he was debunking me and that you could see the flag on the moon with a telescope. And so I proved that you definitely can't. And so he made another video and he doubled down and said, yeah, you can. You just need a powerful telescope like NASA. And of course, all the audience people buy into that shit and call me the stupid flat earther. And then I've even seen people say that they've seen the flag on the moon with their own personal telescope. So I've seen Globers go as far as to lie and make up stories that they have seen the flag on the moon with their own personal telescope or with a telescope in their science class, or they went to an observatory and they saw the flag on the moon. I've heard all that bullshit. In reality, no, you cannot see anything man-made on the moon because man never went to the moon. PR Prepper says, never a straight answer. Yes, of course. That's NASA for you. All right. I think it's maybe time for Rusty to make an appearance. It's one thing we haven't done today. Come on, Rusty. Bring on the old pup. Oh, get on up here, Hooster. You're going to make your appearance for the people at home. There he is. There's Roosty Hoosty. Roosty is a good dog. Roosty is a good dog. Roosty is a good dog. And he's not a whore. Doo, doo, doo. He's not a whore. He's a good dog and he's not a whore. All right. There's the puppy. Say hi, Rusty, to the people at home. There you go. We actually went out for a walk today at the park. It's getting really hot here in California. We're already getting into the 90s and shit already. So it won't be long before it's going to be over 100 degrees, getting miserable. But I'm planning on doing a trip up north. I want to go into Oregon and try and avoid some of the hot weather and hit the Oregon coast where it's nice and cool. So I want to do an Oregon subscriber meetup because I haven't been to Oregon in like 15 years. So it's been a long time since I've been up there. And so I'm sure I have some subscribers in like Portland area or surrounding area. So I'm going to do a subscriber meetup in Oregon come this summertime. So that'll be fun. I'll take the dog with me. And my favorite band is playing in Oregon, a few different shows. So I want to get up there for at least one of them. Blue Oyster Cult's going to be playing some West Coast shows, and I want to be able to catch one up in Oregon. And then I also have tickets for one here in California. And then I also am going to see them in Reno. So I'm going to catch my favorite band several times this summer. Ooh. There you go, Rusty. Ugh. Saul says, was Rusty scared or reacting at all when you had your supernatural event where you thought you were going to die? No, I don't remember him reacting to it at all, actually. Good point. I didn't think about like it affecting the dog. So if it did, I don't remember noticing, but I probably would have remembered if it would have affected him heavily. So, no, I don't remember anything happening to him. And I know a lot of people saw it, and not everybody mentioned that they had this reaction. But I did see other people comment that after they saw the SpaceX rocket that did that swamp gas thing, that they felt nauseous afterwards. But good point, Saul. I think I also missed another one from Steve Tomato. Says they see man-made artifacts left on the moon with their personal telescope the same time as the curve from a mountain or a plane in their imagination. Good point. There are people that disregard the mainstream science answer that you shouldn't be able to see curvature unless you're like above like 150,000 feet or something. So apparently, according to like Neil deGrasse Tyson and real science nerds, you have to be like 150,000 feet up to start being able to see this curve. And so people will climb up mountains that are only 5,000 feet tall, 7,000 feet tall, right? And then they'll say that they see curvature from on top of this mountain that's less than 10,000 feet tall, right? Even at 10,000 feet, that's still not enough to see this curvature according to mainstream science. So it's funny that they go against their own mainstream science when they make this claim. I remember when I first got into the flat earth subject, there were people saying that they could see the curve from the ground. So I remember arguing with the dude that said if you go to the ocean, you can see the curve when you look out at the ocean. You don't even have, he said, you don't even have to be standing on anything. He's just like, go to the ocean, you'll see the curve. So I've actually made memes where like people are like, standing with their, or like laying down with their face in the ground, and it says like underneath, like, I can see the curvature from here. Javid with the donation. Hey, thanks, Javid. I appreciate all the donations. You're awesome, buddy. Says these globers that are arguing against the P900 cam, saying it's not good enough to study planets. You need a scope around 10K range. If they can see planets in detail, those scopes should be able to see a flag on the moon. No, they can't quite zoom in enough for the flag on the moon. And even NASA's supposed satellite, which orbits, it's a dot. So even their satellite, which I don't believe is real because it's not, they can't even zoom in and get a clear picture of the flag on the moon with their supposed technology. And so they say they have a satellite going around the moon. That's going to be closer and more powerful than any telescope here on Earth. If it existed, a box with wings that could take pictures of the surface of the moon, and they say that this thing's like close to the moon and that it's orbiting the moon all day, every day. So you would think that they would be able to have really clear, detailed pictures from that, but it's a dot. So the flag is a dot, and then the little lunar module tracks. In fact, I could even maybe find it and pull it up for you guys and show it to you. You see the flag on the moon. Ah, got it. Let me share my screen 1 second. Share. All right. There we go. Okay. So this is what we get if you look up, can I see the flag on the moon? So this is the photos that comes from NASA. So they say that they obtain these photos with their satellite that orbits the moon. So look at what they point at as flag and shadow. Just a dot, man. And then here's the base of the lunar module that was left over. Because if you remember the lunar module, the top pops off and flies away. So this is what they give you if you want proof of what NASA left behind as far as a flag, supplies, and all that stuff. This is what they left behind. This is maybe a tad more clear, but still. So Neil deGrasse actually said that there was somebody who wanted proof that NASA landed on the moon. And he's like, what if I can give you photos of the flag and the lunar module and the tracks left from the lunar rover on the moon? Would that be enough for you? And the guy said, well, that can be faked. And he's like, well, then I have nothing for you. Then we're done here. I refuse to argue with somebody who won't take this as proof. And so they say that if you don't accept this as proof, that you're not being reasonable. But again, this comes from NASA, this supposed proof. Yeah. So you can Google this yourself. And so here's what happened is this one globe cuck named Professor Stick. He's a cartoon character who made hit piece videos. He was claiming that you could see the flag on the moon with a telescope. And so I proved him wrong. I showed that no, you cannot, and that only NASA claims that they can see it. He makes another video saying that I'm a dumb flat earther and that you can see the flag on the moon. All you need is just a really powerful telescope. And then in the comments section, His subscribers were saying that they could see the flag on the moon when they looked through their telescopes, and that they went to have a science class field trip. They went to an observatory. They saw the tracks left over from the rover, yada, yada, yada. So this is it. This is their evidence, y'all. Oh, isn't that lovely? There it is. Of course. And then the tracks, they have the tracks as well, which I find the tracks hilarious and the whole like lunar rover thing hilarious. Because if you just like stop and think about it logically, like you're going to take a car to outer space. What happens if you drive a few miles away from the lunar module and then you get into a wreck, have an accident, something goes wrong, it breaks down, then you have to like moonwalk all the way back? Or like, what if there's an emergency? To me, if you bring a car, then the chances of you falling out of the car, getting into an accident, right, and what your space suit rupturing, someone getting injured, having an emergency where you can basically die like really fast, there's no way to get help. And so I feel like having a lunar rover was done to basically make it, to confuse people, to trick people, because you drive a car. So we all drive a car to work. Most of us drive vehicles. So they make the spacemen identifiable and they have a space car. Whereas it would actually be more believable if they didn't have a space car, because of, like I said, if you drive 3-4 miles away on the moon, right? Like, why would you have a car if you're not going to travel? So if you take the lunar rover, that means you're planning on traveling long distances. If you travel a long distance away from your base, in this case, the lunar module, you run the risk, like I said, of getting into a wreck, it breaking down, and then you have to get all the way back. So just doing any sort of long distance travel in a vehicle like that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And also, furthermore, there's no roads, so you have to just magically find this flat spot where you can drive around this dune buggy. And I've seen people in dune buggies flip the dune buggy over and get injured. If you take a turn on a dune buggy on dirt too fast, you can flip over. And I would think that with moon gravity, if you were to, you know, hit any sort of rocky terrain and catch any sort of air, that you would catch maybe more air than usual and have a chance of an astronaut being ejected and then getting hurt, injured. So I feel like the whole driving a car thing is there to trick people like children. Like, look, you drive a car. Children like cars. NASA also has a car on the moon. And then they did it again with Elon sending a car into space. So there's something about like them mocking us with the cars in space, right? So when I see a car on the moon, I start laughing, because logistically it just doesn't make any sense that you would want to travel anywhere away from your base. Like, once your lunar module got out of sight, I'd be getting pretty nervous. Something could go wrong. All right. So this is what we get from NASA. Gotta love it. And this is what Globers will protect. You know what I've even heard? They say that it's all gray now and that it's lost its pigment or something like that. That it's been bleached by the sun. It's been bleached by the sun and lost its pigment. I've even read that it's no longer red, white, and blue. It's just gray now, man. Just gray. These are the supposed landing spots. Yeah, man.
You don't want to go over there on the dark side of the moon. No way. You can only go to the part that's facing us. Oh, NASA, NASA, NASA. Can you believe people still believe in fake space? It's sad. It's sad that people still believe in space. You know, they don't even try that hard anymore to fake it. You know, when you look at the recent ISS footage, it's not getting better. If anything, it's getting worse. And so they're getting more blatant with their fakery. And there's still people out there just eating it up. If you guys are enjoying this stream or if you've had fun today, do me a favor and slam the thumbs up. I've been on here for a while now. I see 122 people watching. We've covered a lot of different subjects. Can you please, if you enjoyed the stream, hit the thumbs up. Hopefully the algorithm will recognize that I'm a good guy doing a good stream, and I'll totally promote this to everyone worldwide, and it'll go viral and wake up the sheep. Just kidding. I just like to see the thumbs up for my own personal enjoyment. Oofmatic says, thumbs up slammed. Thanks, Oofmatic. I appreciate it. There it is. Thumbs ups. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. All right. Oh, just in case any of you guys missed my Alex Jones video, my recent InfoWars 2.0 video, I wanted to play that. It's only 2 minutes, but real quick, I got some super chats. Javid says apparently the images from 10K scopes show planets like the fake NASA images. Are they fake too? Yeah, I don't buy that. You can't see desert landscape on Mars with their telescopes. Any regular telescope that you look through, you'll just see like a red dot, and it'll be a little bigger than when you're looking at it with your naked eye, of course. But you're not going to see that desert landscape. Now, I've also heard that they can have digital overlays inside there, and so you might be looking through and seeing something digital rather than straight through an actual telescope. So, can they have digital manipulation on some telescopes and maybe overlay some desert landscape on top of Mars? Sure. But Mars is close enough to where, like, in NASA world, mainstream science, when they look at it, they claim that they can see this desert landscape, and it's like this frigid desert world. And when we look at it with our telescopes, it's basically just like an orange reddish star. So it kind of looks like a star that's just orangish and red, and you don't see any of that landscape. So I challenge anybody with any home telescope of any size, no matter how much it costs, to try and prove to me that you can see desert landscape and features. Might have missed another super chat up here. Rose Bellman says, enjoying as always, Jake. Hey, thank you very much, Rose. I appreciate that. That's very generous of you. Glad to see you here. I was hoping that we would get your friend, Jonna, as well. I saw her briefly in the last stream, but I guess she's been busy lately. Haven't seen her as much. Steve Tomato says, you said lunar module, but you meant homeless tweaker shelter. I owe you this $5 for reaching out to me. PT the sports guy. Huh. I can't remember. Are you the guy that talked about wrestling? Some guy emailed me about wrestling who I need to get back to. Can't quite remember which guy you are. I do with lots of different people, and so sometimes I get people confused or forget who I talked to recently about what. But yeah, the lunar module is indeed a homeless tweaker shelter. All right, that is my most famous design. Still available. Where's she at? That's not it. Ah, here we go. The classic, the one that started it all. There it is. Ta-da. And you can still order this one. The link is in the description down below. It's only $20 from Teespring. Right? I've worn this one a bunch of times. So this one still looks pretty good for as many times as I've worn it and washed it. So this one's like, shit, like 4 years old or something now. It still looks pretty good. There she goes. All right. And of course, you can get that design in the description down below. You'll find the link, Lunar Module or Homeless Tweaker Shelter. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate the donation. Andy says, I need to get one. Oh, everybody should have one. This never goes out of style. It really doesn't. I've been wearing this for years. I've worn this so many times. Never goes out of style. Andy says it's still only $20. Yeah, only 20. And then with like tax, and then if you live like on the other side of the world, I think they'll charge you a little more for shipping and handling. But if you live in the United States, it's like 20 plus tax and shipping. I think it comes out to like 25, 27 or something like that. But yeah, I try to keep it pretty low so it doesn't break the bank. But it is a one-of-a-kind design. I am the first person to put that image on a shirt. So nobody, not even a science nerd, had ever put that image onto a shirt. And so a lot of times when people see this, it's like they're seeing it for the first time. They can't even believe that that's actually a NASA spaceship. All right. Oh, that's right. I was going to show you guys my InfoWars video. Just in case any of you guys missed my InfoWars parody, I did an InfoWars parody video on the Jake the Asshole channel. And I'll go ahead and share that real quick. It's only 2 minutes long, and it's pretty funny. So let me go ahead and share that.
The InfoWars, folks. These globalists who rule over us, they actually have no real power. You see, they are members of an occult, and they have interdimensional homosexual sex with each other, ritualistically. And we don't condone that sort of behavior around here. However, we do know that it is true, and we do know that it is going on. We actually have a correspondent checking in on this issue right now. Alex Stein, can you hear me?
Alex Stein, Primetime 99, on the grind, all the time. I'm here with one of my heroes, Alex Jones, and I'm Stein Primetime and on the 9, all the grind dang time with the Stein Prime 9 and the Time 99. And I tried all of Alex Jones' male vitality pills, and let me tell you what, it made my nipples harder than Chinese arithmetic. These damn globalists, let me tell you what, Primetime Time 99 all the time on the grind. And I recently attended an event that had interdimensional homosexual sex going on. I did not participate, but I did watch and observe what was going on because I'm a truther. I'm a truther. Primetime 99 all the time on the grind on the 99 and the time.
Alex, could you show an example of some of this interdimensional ritualistic homosexual sex that was going on with these damn globalists?
This is a primetime Star 99 example of what it looked like to see the interdimensional globalists having homosexual sex, and then they practiced their karate moves. They was like, whoo, ha, 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 wah, wah. And then they did this swan kick like, wah, ha, yeah.
Can you believe that, folks? Not only are these damn globalists having ritualistic homosexual sex behind our backs, but they're also practicing secret karate moves as well as secret swan kicks that they plan on using on us in the future. The future's going to be bleak, folks, if you don't wake up, step up, and fight back with nonviolence against these damn globalists.
And there you have it, of course, InfoWars 2.0. I, of course, do all the voiceovers. You know, I've really come into my own as far as doing voiceovers and impressions. And so people have been telling me that I do a better Alex Jones than Alex Jones. I do a better Richie from Boston than does Richie from Boston. So I appreciate the compliments, and it does feel good to be able to do these impressions and these voices and nail them and get it right to where we can go back and watch and have a laugh. So I'm glad that the creator, whoever it is, for whatever reason, blessed me with the ability to not only see through the deception, but I'm basically like the best impression man in the world at this point. It's just that the voices that I choose to do are kind of all just random and strange. You're not going to find many comedians or truthers that are going to do a Richie from Boston voice and also an Elmo voice and nail it at the same time. Oh, and I missed the super chat. One sec. Steve Tomato says, is the Kill Bill shirt still available? Yes, that one's on T-Chip. I had to put that one on a different site. Let me try and find it. Trying to find that one. I haven't been on there in a while. Oh, I found it. All right. I'll post the link in chat. I totally forgot about this design. So the Kill Bill shirt is available. I'm going to put it in chat right now. I totally almost forgot about this design. So I need to get a new one because mine actually got faded. So the face started to wear off because I wore it a bunch of times last year. So mine is faded. I need to get a new one. Okay, here you go. There you are, Steve Tomato. There is the link right here. Boom. tchip.com shillbill shirt. tchip.com/shillbill shirt. There you are. And yeah, that design is controversial. So the first time it was up on Teespring did not like that design. And so they actually got rid of it. So I had to go to a different site. But it is available. I think we made the shirts 20, and then like we have some other products that through T-Chip that are awesome. Like you can get shoes with the logo, you can get all sorts of different sweatshirts and stuff. So anyway, there's that. Steve Tomato says your Bill Hicks as Alex Jones is really entertaining. Yeah, you know, I don't know for sure if it's the same guy. I reckon it probably is, but I can't say for sure. But my Alex Jones impression, Like even I am like, damn, dude, how do I do that so good? Like I'm impressed with my own Alex Jones impression. It's almost like you have to just like pretend that you're constipated. You gotta like pretend that you have some major constipation going on.
You, you gotta have just this raspiness. You gotta get deep down here. All right. And of course, you have to mention the globalists. It's everything is the globalists. Of course. No way is he ever gonna say that it's the evil Jews. No, it's only the globalists. There's no such thing as evil Jews. It's only evil globalists.
Rose Bellman says, Trump impression, please. All right. Let me tell you something. All right. I'm coming back in 2024. All right. The writing is on the wall. People are sick of Creepy Joe. I'm going to win by a landslide. Let me tell you something. The votes were not counted correctly last time. This time, all right, America's going to see who the real winner is. I'm coming back in 2024 stronger than ever. All right. I'm, of course, going to be debuting Trumptricity. It's like electricity, but much more efficient. All right. And I'm going to be rolling out Trumptricity plans. You can buy 1 year's worth of Trumptricity for 50% of the cost of the average electricity use. Of course, it's going to be one of my plans to save America and make America great again for 4 more years. And let's be honest, all right? I'm going to make China pay for the whole thing, all right? And then I'm going to find Putin, all right? I'm going to find him. I'm going to shake his hand, and I'm going to look him right in his eye. As I'm shaking his hand, I'm going to tell him, you're fired, all right? And then I'm going to take over Russia, and I'm going to make China pay for the whole thing, all right? There you go. There's a little Trump for you. Thanks, Rose Bellman, for the donation. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the Trump impression. Alfalfa 333 says too much Joe Pesci. I can see maybe a little Joe Pesci in there. But he's got more that I know that you're in there and that you're all alone. Remember that from almost said Home Improvement. Home Alone. All right. Andy says he even does the eyes. Andy also says Ultra MAGA. So Trump, if you want to try practicing your own Trump at home, this is like his favorite move, and he talks in a bit of a slower cadence. So you want to make sure that you aren't talking too fast, all right? So that slow people can keep up with you, all right? And you want to say, all right. And let me tell you something, all right? And you want to make sure to keep your hands going like this. You get the squinting of the eyes. Let me tell you something, all right? China. All right, I told you something. So if you want to practice, it's like you have to. I think the key to doing a good impression is to envision the person like in your head as you're doing it. Really, truly envision yourself as them. You're not just doing an impression. You are becoming that person in that moment. So if you really want to channel that energy, you can do what I do, and it's like you have to kind of like imagine that person in your head. Basically become one with them in your own imagination, to where their mannerisms and their cadence and the way they speak and their tone just naturally comes out of you. So sometimes if you hang out with a person long enough, like you might have a friend that you can do an impression of because you hang out with them enough. So I'm learning that if I watch someone on YouTube or any television screen or computer screen long enough, that there are some voices that I can replicate extremely well. And 10, 20 years ago, I swear I didn't quite have that good of an ability. It's almost like I've come into my own with this impressions thing. Did I miss anything else? Rose Bellman says, I love it. Well, thank you, Rose. I appreciate you being here, appreciate the donation, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. All right. So I've been at this for over 2 hours now. We're almost at 2.5 hours and got over 100 people watching. Can I get you guys, if you enjoyed today's stream, to smash that thumbs up one last time before we shut her down? All right. So, for those of you who joined us late and you missed the first part, definitely go back and check it out. We watched the rocket, the SpaceX rockets, supposedly trying to get through the dome, bust through the barrier. Was it a possible weapon being tested on the public? Was it just some fireworks display to distract people? We went through a series of discussions and watched some videos. So if you missed that part, definitely go back and check that out. And I'm going to be doing a live stream. We're showing off Shay's flat Earth map on the Asshole channel on Monday. So I will post a promo video for that. So hope to see you guys Monday night on the Asshole channel. I'm going to have Shay on. She's going to present her map, and we're going to be asking her questions and looking into her map and model, which is interesting, and it brings a whole new set of questions that you might not have ever thought of before. And I look forward to that. And then the week after, I'm supposed to have FPV Angel come on as well to present their map and model. So that's exciting stuff. I'm glad that we can get this topic reinvigorated, rejuvenated, and have a serious discussion about the shape of the world and these issues going on without being overrun by shills and disinformation agents. So I look forward to those streams. I have some questions for both FPV Angel and Shay on how their models work, and I'm sure you guys will too. Steve Tomato says, in 2015, a wise friend of mine said the Clintons and Trumps are part of the same organization with the same goals. They just play heel face in public. Well, yeah. Or let me go ahead and pull up the picture of them together, laughing and muck it up. I've shown this before, but just in case anyone's not seen it. Here we go. All right, let me share my screen real quick. Thanks for the donation, Steve. And Javid says, Johnny Johnson says he has a friend with those 10K scopes. He says they real images. Explain the digital manipulation. I think what they have ways of maybe showing you some stuff inside the telescopes that ain't legit. And again, I know that you can't see any desert landscape on Mars with that telescope, with any telescope, unless there's some manipulation going on. Okay, let me show my screen. I wanted to show you guys these Trump and Clinton pictures. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it, but just in case you haven't, here we go. So, all you got to do is just type in Clinton's and Trump friends, and you can find stuff like this. Right? See, look at this picture right here. Like, they totally look like they're mucking it up and that they're pals. So to think that these people are enemies is ridiculous when in reality they're backstage mucking it up and eating catered meals together. So while he was saying, let me tell you something, I'm going to put that woman in jail. All right, that woman is going to be in jail. You're never going to see her again. She'll never see the light of day. It's bullshit. They're behind the scenes looking like this together. So when I see the scene of them over there, mucking it up together, it's like I can almost like hear them talking. All right. And then let me tell you something. What we should do is we should rent a room and we should have a foursome. All right. Let's the four of us get together. All right. I'll start by giving oral stimulation to Hillary. All right. And then Bill can bang her from behind. All right. Like, right, like they're planning their foursome. So yeah, when you show this to a hardcore Trumper, you know what they say? Well, that was before he became president. He was just acting like he was their friend so that then he could expose them. They have Trumpers have an excuse. So the far right Trumpers are hilarious and they're every bit as dumb as the far left because they'll think that a guy like Trump is on their side and they'll make an excuse when they see pictures like this. He was just pretending that he was a Democrat and he was pretending to be their friend so then he could expose them. He gonna put that woman in jail. Rose Bellman says, there's the proof. Yeah. Hey, you'd be surprised how many people have never even taken the time to look at these pictures. I showed my dad these pictures for the first time not that long ago, and he like took a few minutes to stare at them, and then he wanted to go show everybody. Look at this. Look at this. Looks like they're friends. It's like, no shit, Dad. But of course, my dad believes everything that he reads in the newspaper, sees on TV is true. So this right here was a tough pill for him to swallow. Andy says Trump is a sellout. Oh, he's always been one of them. So it's funny to me that anyone ever believed that a billionaire is going to be on your side. Like a billionaire businessman who, to me, seems like he would slit his grandmother's throat in order to get to the top. So the guy seems like a shisty, shady businessman to me, total bravado and ego. And there's people that think, oh, yeah, he's one of us. He's a good guy. Him and the white hats are going to save the children from the tunnels. So the stuff that people say about Trump and the way they glorify the guy when he's never been one of us, he's never been a you and me, he's never been an average regular Joe. In fact, anything but. So there that is. Johnny Johnson says, I'm trying to get a hold of one of those pre-57 encyclopedias. Right now, reading the 1910 one. And like I said, anything from history, anything in any old books, old maps, take it with a grain of salt. I've seen all kinds of old maps and old stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. John M. Truth says, believe newspaper instead of Sun. Sad. Yeah, my dad is a lost cause, and I've come to realize he's a lost cause. Nothing I do is going to change his mind. He has a set of excuses that he reuses every time. And it's this. Well, you think that the earth is flat, and you think that dinosaurs aren't real, and you think the moon landing's fake. You think that everything's a conspiracy, so I just don't see how all those things can all be conspiracies and nobody's came out and said anything about it, and everybody's is in on it, and nobody's came out and blown the whistle. I just don't see how that many people can keep that big of a secret. He says that every fucking time. That's it. And you can't get around that with him. He'll just dig his feet in. So if you say that, people who work at NASA aren't all in on it, some of them are dumb, just going along with what they think is real and happening. So someone can work on a satellite and think that it's going to go to space, but they aren't there to actually watch it go out into space. And so I have to explain to him how, each crew of astronauts, they're different than the people who work at the front desk at NASA, and that each person has their own specific job, and there's different levels of indoctrination along the way. So a lot of people who work there are not so much in on it as much as they're just useful idiots who are going along with the plan because they believe in it. And so I have to try and explain it, but he's not having any of it. And he always has that same excuse. Well, you think everything's a conspiracy. So I think everything's a conspiracy. So therefore, whatever I'm telling him can't be right because I think everything is a conspiracy, is what he says. And then his second favorite one, how can everyone be in on it if nobody comes out and tells the secret? So he thinks that if everyone's in on this gigantic plan, somebody would come out and blow the whistle. And I guess he thinks that the news cameras in his newspaper would be there to talk to this person who comes out and blows the whistle. So I had to explain to my dad that whistleblowers don't really exist because there's nothing to gain. So if you're in on the deception, you're not going to come out and blow the whistle. And if you think there's deception going on and then you make a video about it, then you're like a guy like me saying that there's a conspiracy going on, and then people write you off as a conspiracy theorist. And then he'll throw it in my face that I make these videos, and since I make money and make these videos, that I must be saying these things just to make money. And so he's even made these insinuations that I say these things on my videos because I'm trying to make money. It's like, Dad, I watch actual space station footage that you've never seen, and me and my audience have a serious discussion about why it's fake. I don't tell my audience the space station isn't real while we watch space station footage because I'm trying to fake them out and get them to give me money. People choose to donate because they enjoy my streams because I bring a level of truth that they can't quite find anywhere else. And I tell it like it is, and I don't pull punches. Well, and so I have a hard time having a conversation because it gets that personal that fast. So my dad will take these shots at me like, well, you believe everything. Well, how come nobody's came out and blown the whistle? Well, you make money talking about all this weird stuff on the internet. So it behooves you to do that. So me and my dad don't get along, to say the least. So I can put up with him for like one day tops, and then I want to just absolutely scream at him. So I'm sure many of you have had that scenario with maybe your parent or a loved one. And sometimes you just have to come to the conclusion that nothing that you do or say is ever going to change their mind. And you have to just be okay with that and let it go. Am I okay with it? No, but I'm trying to let it go and not be mad about it. Michael says, I feel you, man. Andy says, just enjoy the time you have with your dad. You know, that's easier said than done, because what it'll come down to is you have to sit there and listen to him regurgitate the newspaper and just go, uh-huh. And he won't stop. So my dad will regurgitate the newspaper and then try and say how he has ideas to fix the world. And he'll start talking about Trump shit, and he'll start talking about Biden shit, and it's all just regurgitated from the newspaper. And that, since he reads the newspaper, he feels like he has to regurgitate it to someone. So anyone who will listen, he'll start just regurgitating that shit. And so within an hour or two of talking to him, his favorite subject is regurgitating shit that he reads in the newspaper. So to like just go, uh-huh, yeah, and not say anything that I think or feel, it's hard for me to like enjoy my time spent with them if I can't express myself. So if you can't express yourself, you can't be who you truly are. You Then it's like you're being a fake person to satisfy or not piss off your loved one. And so that's a tricky scenario, because can you make it through a dinner or a hangout by going, uh-huh, yeah, you can, but are you going to enjoy that time if you're like faking it and biting your lip the whole time? Not allowed to say what you think. So I can usually handle my dad for like one night or so, and then he starts to piss me off. Sailing the Honey Badger says, my dad does the same. You guys, it's one thing when people watch TV, but my dad is old school and reads the newspaper. And the newspaper is like worse than television, because it's just a piece of paper with words in a still shot. So he'll see a still shot of, let's say, of a shooting. He'll see a still shot picture, and he won't question it at all. He'll just read about it and think that that's real. He doesn't ever go look at the people smiling with duper's delight at those shooting events. I see that footage, but my dad never sees the footage. So he doesn't know what it's like to watch an actor smile with duper's delight saying that they were just at this horrific shooting. He doesn't know what that's like because he doesn't ever watch it. He thinks he's smart because he doesn't watch TV, but then he reads a newspaper. So it's actually worse than television in some ways, because there's no actual video footage. You don't actually get to see the actor smiling with duper's delight in the newspaper. In the newspaper, you'll see just one still shot, and that's it. And then they'll have a bunch of words. And so when he reads that, he thinks that he knows the truth. So it's tough to have such an old school ass parent who's so caught in their ways that, and egotistical about it, to where he doesn't want to even consider that his son might be correct, because that's a world that tears his world apart. He knows his world gets torn apart if his boy is correct. And he does not want to go there, not in his imagination for a second. All right, guys, I've been on here for about 2 hours, 40 minutes. I'm getting tired and hungry. I'm going to go ahead and jump off here, take the dog out for a walk. But I want to thank you guys for joining me. Thank you all for the super chats. Thank you all my mods, everybody who left a comment. If I missed your comment, I'm going to go back and watch the replay and see what everyone said. I always go back and watch the replay. So if I missed a comment, missed anything, I will go back and read all of them. And so don't feel like if I didn't read your comment or post it that you aren't getting seen or heard. There's just so many comments that fly by. You know, I can only pick and choose so many. So thank you guys for being here and joining me and Rusty. We're going to get off here, and I'll see you on the asshole stream on Monday, the Flat Earth stream with Shay presenting her map. And we'll continue our discussion from there. All right. Have a good night. Enjoy your weekend, Truth Warriors. This is Jake signing off. Peace.